Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala amma ba'du. Alhamdulillah, I received a good response regarding the videos on the books, and people were happy that I started my Mektaba videos once again. And so I got a good idea from one of my good brothers, Ayub, and that is to maybe talk about the books from where I got them, maybe detailing some of my trip along the way. So inshallah ta'ala, I have quite a few books I'm going to go through in this video, but they'll be quick inshallah ta'ala, because most of them are by the same author. Anyway, after the last Dawrah, Ali ibn Abi Talib, radiallahu anhu, which takes place twice a year in Kuwait and just started up again after COVID this past October, then me and some of the brothers who came to the Dawrah went to Umrah. We drove, and our first stop was Riyadh, and we had made an appointment with Sheikh Asim Qaryuti to go to his house. However, we wanted to go to the Muassasa, the foundation of Sheikh al-Aziz al-Rajahi first, because they were closed on the weekend and we were there on the weekend. And they were open at nighttime and we would miss it if we went to the Sheikh. First, the Sheikh allowed us anyway to go to the Muassasa of Sheikh Aziz al-Rajahi. And they gave us a few books, walillahi alhamd. Sheikh Aziz al-Rajahi, for those who might not be familiar with him, he was born in the year 1360. So that makes him 84 years old. He's 84 years old, and he is in Riyadh, or he's from Qasim, but he's in Riyadh. He has numerous books, explanation of Bukhari, explanation of Muslim, many books. Allahu Alam, I would say maybe 100. If you go to the Mawqi', the website, you could probably find out exactly how many. Alhamdulillah, the Mektaba, I think it's in English called Mektabat al-Irshad. That brother Muhammad Abdullah Azim, I think he started printing some translations by the Sheikh Aziz al-Rajahi. Recently they started doing some translations. Okay, so we can see here, this is from the Mu'allafat of the Sheikh. This is book number 15, al-Ilmam, Bishay'in min Ahkam as-Siyam. Excuse me. So this is some rulings regarding to fasting. It's hardback. It has the string in there for the book notes, like we like, for the bookmark, like we like. Cream colored paper, 2-color, red and black. Total of 112 pages. Although these sets of books were given to me. Everything in this series today was given to me, so I don't know the price. Allahu Alam. Anyway, 111 pages, and basically just talks about fasting. What is fasting? The obligatory fast, the stages of fasting, of how fasting was revealed, the virtues of fasting, the ruling of fasting, and then some rulings regarding fasting, as far as sleeping during the day, taking a shower, what breaks the fast, what doesn't break the fast, and so on. So he brings 51 Ahkam, 51 points related to fasting in this nice book. The next book, also by Sheikh Aziz al-Rajahi. This is book number 27 from his, we see here 27 from his books, al-Isضaح, والتبيين لبعض صفات المؤمنين. This is clarification of some of the attributes of the believers. So in this book, the Sheikh, he took different ayat where Allah talks about the believers and he discusses them. You see again, and this is going to be the case with most of the Sheikh's works, quality, thick paper. You can hear the way it's flipping in my hand. It's thick paper, and you can see you don't really see through the page. 2-color print, 140 some pages, counting the table of contents, 144 pages. And we'll just go through the attributes that he discusses quickly. al-Iman bil-Ghayb, believing in the unseen. Iqamat al-Salat, establishing the Salat. Al-Khushu' fi Salat, having khushu', concentration, humility in Salat. Al-Muhafidha ala Salat, meaning to guard and to preserve and be consistent and diligent in making the Salat. Hifdh al-Furuj, protecting the private parts. Riayat al-Imana, looking after the trusts that are given to you. Hifdh al-Ahad, keeping the trusts and the covenants that were given to you. Al-Irad, an al-Laghu, to turn away from false and vain speech. Fi'l al-Zakat, to give zakat. At-Tasdiq bi Yawm ad-Din, to confirm and affirm the belief in the day of resurrection. Al-Ishfaq min adhabillah, to be scared and weary from the fear of Allah, or from the punishment of Allah Azza wa Jal. Al-Amr bil Ma'ruf wa Nahy anil Munkar, the believers, they command the good and they forbid the evil. The 13th sifat right here, and that is to spend both secretly and openly. 14, suppressing anger. 15, pardoning the people. 16, having ihsan, or excellence, or good behavior in everything that we do. 17, at-tawbah, to repent to Allah Azza wa Jal. 18, ta'at Allahi wa rasulihi wal istihbabatu lillahi wa li rasulihi, to repent to Allah and or to obey Allah and His Messenger. To obey Allah and His Messenger. Then iqamat shahada wal qiyamu biha, to establish the testimony and be firm in it. Tawakkul ala Allah, number 20. So these could be nice khutbahs. Each one, there's 20 of them divided by 140 pages. So we say maybe 7 pages a piece. Roughly 6-7 pages. It could be a nice, you could summarize it and make it a khutbah, or turn it into a class as well. This next book, دليل الشائر إلى الجنة شرح المختار في أصول السنة. Okay, this is an explanation of al-Mukhtar fi Usul al-Sunnah by Abu Ali al-Hasan ibn Ahmed al-Benna. Not the Hassan al-Benna who died recently, rahimahullah, nor the Hassan al-Benna who died in the 60s that was from the Ikhwan al-Muslimin. Rather, this Hassan al-Benna died in the year 471. This is an explanation, of course. Paper, as we said, 2-color, everything's quality. The number of pages here, including the table of contents, is 544. And just briefly to tell you what the book is about, he says here that the author, meaning Al-Hassan al-Benna, he gathered and he chose from 3 books. The first of them, Kitab al-Shar'iyya lil-Ajuri. The second one, Kitab al-Tawheed min Sahih al-Imam al-Bukhari. And the third one, Mushkil al-Hadith li Ibn Qutaybah. So he says here the Mu'allaf narrated from these 3 books, and he called his book al-Mukhtar fi Usul al-Sunnah. So it is basically a summarization of the points or the things that are mentioned in those 3 books. That's this book here. The next book, also by Sheikh al-Aziz al-Raji. Again, we got all of these from his foundation. This was number 36. Sorry, this was number 36. This one here is number 48. And this is Shروح, Rasائil, الإمام المجدد الشيخ محمد ibn الوهاب, المجموعة الثانية. And this contains his explanation of Fadl Islam and Kashf Shubahat. Again, same paper, number of pages, slightly over 400, 421 with the table of contents. Next is Sheikh Abdul-Aziz al-Raji. He's an explanation of Al-Hadi al-Hadith fi Shar Aqidat al-Salaf wa Ashab al-Hadith li Shaykh al-Islam Abi Uthman al-Sabuni. So the Aqidah, or the creed of the people of Hadith, this is his explanation of that. It is in 341 pages. And that book is in English, meaning the Creed of Ashab al-Hadith. So alhamdulillah, we know what the subject is. That's just the explanation. This next book is a smaller book, number 22. This one was number 35. This one, number 22, is explanation of Asul al-Thalatha by Muhammad ibn al-Wahab. It's paperback. It's a little bit smaller, including the table of contents, 141 pages. Quality paper, red and black 2-color print. Nice. The next one is also relating to fasting, al-Mukhtar fi Ahkam al-Siyam. This is just some rulings regarding fasting, book number 26 by the Sheikh. It is 36 pages. If you count the table of contents, then 39. Right? So, these are the books that we got for free from the Muassasa. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 books that we got from the Muassasa. After that, we went to Sheikh Asim al-Qaryuti's house, and we had dinner with him, and he had a friend over, which we'll talk about in a minute, inshallah. But he asked us how our trip was on the way from Kuwait to Riyadh, and then what we got at the Muassasa of Sheikh al-Aziz. And then he gave us these books, which are 4 more books by Sheikh al-Aziz al-Rajihi, walhamdulillah. The first of them, al-Ifada bi asbab al-ribh was-sa'ada, the reasons for profit and gain and happiness. It's 66 pages, counting the table of contents, and basically talks about the reasons for success. And we see it's falling apart. The reasons for success are for happiness and profit, and that is to have iman in Allah, to do good actions, to encourage one another and incite one another to the truth, and to have patience, and then the types of patience, and then what are some of the effects of taking the means. And he goes on to discuss that in these 60-some pages. The next is هذه عقيدتي عقيدة أهل السنة والجماعة. This is book number 18. This was book number 53. This is book number 18. This is basically something that the Sheikh said some of his students asked him to write, and it's all about the pillars of Iman and belief in Allah, the angels, the books, the messengers, the day of judgment, and al-qadr khayrihi wa sharrihi in some detail, and it is 44 pages. Alhamdulillah. This next book is book number 38 from his Muassasa, and it is Sabil al-Munjiya li Muslim min al-Fitan, the way for the Muslim to become safe or get salvation from fitan, trials and tribulations. And it is 53 pages, including the table of contents. And the table of contents doesn't tell us much because it's just kind of like al-Awwal, al-Thani. But what we can get from it is that it is to cling to the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and to do plenty of ibadah in the time of fitna. Then this next book is also related to Ramadan, number 14, by the Sheikh Abdulaziz al-Rajihi, hafidhullah ta'ala. And this is Durus for Ramadan. Basically, he brings in these 100 pages, 104 pages, counting the table of contents. He brings 2 hadith, or 2 lessons for before Ramadan, preparing you for Ramadan, and then he brings 30 lessons of Ramadan, so something you can read with your family. And I believe this book was translated this last Ramadan by that Maktabatu al-Irshad. So every lesson is 2 to 3 pages. So something short that can be read in the month of Ramadan with the community. While we were there at Sheikh Asim al-Qaryuti's house, Hafidhullah. He had a friend with him, and his friend is Abdul Latif ibn Abdul Samad, and his father was a famous sheikh in Riyadh. Most of our mashayikh in Kuwait took the book of mirath, or inheritance law, from him, and the sheikh, he visits Kuwait all the time. His origins is from India. Anyway, when I made Umrah with my family, there was a new print of Majmua Fatawa Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah out, and it was on sale very, very cheaply, very cheap. And one brother had wanted it, and he said, pick it up and pick one up for yourself too. So he sent me the money for a copy for me and for him. So I went and got the books. When I got to Mecca, I went and got the books. No, in Medina rather. And I went and got the books in Medina, and we took the train. My bag, I had to buy a bag to put them in because they didn't let the box on. And I guess other people had bought similar bags at a nearby gas station. And so when I got off the train, someone had moved my bag and replaced their bag in its place. I guess probably taking something out, it was easier because mine was on like the, waist level and the other one was down below. So anyway, I took my bags and I left. When I got home, this is 3-4 days later, I realized that this is my bag. It's the same bag, same color, same weight, same everything. But it's got masahif in it and dates and some gifts. You could see obviously some clothes, some baby clothes. So we figured what happened, probably someone needed to change their baby clothes, move the bags around just to make it easier to get in and out of their bag. Anyway, I took their bag and they took mine. And I told Sheikh Asim Qaryuti about it. We laughed about it, and I figured out what I need to do to return this bag. So I returned that bag through one of the brothers here, and he took the bag to the train station for me with a note saying this is what happened. So maybe they could find the person. Maybe that person had complained and said they lost their stuff, and maybe they left my books. Who knows? Maybe they didn't find it till they got home either. Anyway, may Allah reward them. I returned their stuff. So anyway, the Sheikh was retelling the story for me to his friend who was there, Sheikh Abdul Latif. And so Sheikh asked me, did I ever buy the book again, the Majmua Fatawa? I said no. And I knew right then that the Sheikh was going to try to give me something. I knew it right then, but I left it alone. And he talked a little bit more about something else. Conversation changed, and he said, Inshallah ta'ala, come to my house. I said, listen, Sheikh, I don't refuse gifts, but don't give it to me. I'm not poor. I'm not someone who, I need you to buy me a book or anything. I could have bought it. I just didn't buy it, Actually, I found out there were some mistakes and stuff in that print that I wasn't even necessarily interested in anyway. So, so he said, no. Come tomorrow. So anyway, the next day we went to his house, and he gave me this Majmua Fatawa. I just got one volume of it here because it's 37 volumes. It's 37 volumes. The Sheikh gave me his copy or one of his copies. He said he had 2 of them, so he gave me one of his copies of Majmua Fatawa, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah ta'ala. So that's that. Then the next day, we went to Jummah with Sheikh al-Umar, the one who translated the book, Irshad al-Anam, ila Asul, wa Muhammad, Din al-Islam, Su'al al-Jawab, the question and answer book. We translated it. This is the one translated by Tariq Porter, who graduated from Muhammad ibn Saud University and stayed in Saudi, and I believe he's in the Sacramento area in California, back and forth now between Saudi and California. Anyway, he gave me a couple copies of this, and then he gave me a couple copies of this new book that he did, Fulfilling Answers Provided by Islam for Pressing Questions. So these are questions that a non-Muslim might have regarding, and he gave me a copy of this, even though he already had given me the copy of the Arabic one. Then he gave me this book, Nasiyat al-Umma fi Jawab Ashrat al-Asila Muhammad, which he asked to be translated. And this is 10 questions which are important that we know the answer to. And we'll just go over them real quick, inshallah. The first of them, dear Sheikh, there are people who see that the sins committed by some of the leaders, some of the major sins and acts of disobedience requires people to rebel against them and to try to change the leadership. And this causes harm to the Muslims in the land, and incidents or occurrences that the people complain, the Islamic world complains from a lot. So what is your opinion? Right? And this stuff we see a lot online now too. It'd be beneficial if someone would ask a real scholar. And, you know, then the second question, we know that this speech is from a principle from the principles of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. However, unfortunately, there are some children from the people of Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah who see that that this is a position which makes one weak, a self-defeating type of thought or idea. And so, and they say this type of thing. And so that, so then they have harshness and sternness about changing these rulers, right? And that's according to the Sheikh's answer. So they have harshness about changing the ruler, and they see that this is a weak-minded ideology. So what's the answer to that? Then thirdly, if we were to say that it is obligatory to make Islamic rebellion against the body, then does this mean that we can also kill those who help the leaders, like those who work in the government offices and the police officers and the people who keep the peace and so on? So then, so even if we did allow it, would that be the case? The Sheikh answers very quickly. Then he says some of the youth, they think that that they need to be harsh with the kuffar, right? Those who come to the lands, to the Islamic lands, and they live there, and that being harsh with them is from the Islamic legislation. And so some of them are lackadaisical when it comes to killing them and seeing and doing, implementing rules to them when they see them doing wrong, for example. What's the answer to that? And then what if there are no Islamic courts, right? What if there are no, they don't consider them Islamic because they're judging by other than the rule of Allah, they would say. Or is commanding good, number 6, is commanding good and forbidding evil something with the hand? Is something that's the right of everyone, or is that only for those who are given the authority? And question number 7, there are those that see that the truth is in rebellion, and that rebelling against general things, general organizations such as traffic police and customs and passports and so on. So what's the deal with that? You know. Then number 8, do you have to give bay'at to the wali al-amr, to the leader of the Muslims? Number 9, what about those who refuse to make dua for the leader of the Muslims? And then number 10, is the minhaj of the Salaf, is it from the minhaj of the Salaf to rebuke the leaders from the minbar, meaning openly in public? And what is the minhaj of the Salaf in advising the leaders? So short answers. May not satisfy everybody, but this is what he did. So these books were given to me. Also, he gave me a PDF of questions and answers. This first book that we went over, that he has added 10 or 15 questions to and wants them to be translated and added to the next publication. And then last but not least, he gave us this Ni'mat al-Mannan bi Tafsir wa Bayan Kalimat al-Quran, basically a mushaf which has any word that might be not understood. An nafsihi, what does it mean here? It means amma yusibu nafsahu min al-hurb wal-musaqqa wa-shada'id. So just giving an explanation of the words, it might be difficult even for an Arab to understand what their meaning would be if he's not super familiar with tafsir or something. So he gave us these books, and this is what we got in our trip to Riyadh. And I don't think that I got any others. I don't think I went to the bookstores there. So inshallah, if I did, then when I pull them up, I'll share them with you. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.